I have something so special for you guys today. I'm super excited to share one of my clients' journeys with you. So, this is the very first time I've shared an interview style on this podcast. So, I'm really excited to share this interview with you. Tina and I have been working together for a year. And we go really, really deep. And I think that's what I'm excited about because, when we're talking about healing the deeper reasons why you might reach for food to cope or reach for booze to cope, right? When we're talking about a sustainable weight loss journey, sometimes it can feel really esoteric because I'm not sitting here saying, well, if you eat this exact food and if you exercise this much, then you should follow and then you're going to lose 2 pounds a week. It just doesn't work that way. The nuanced process of coaching at this level to really untangle overeating, stress eating, or all of these other reasons, they're emotional. They have to do with old unresolved trauma. It has to do with just like big emotional experiences, all of these things. And so this conversation is very special. It's like you're getting you get to be a fly on the wall and really hear and learn about what it's like to go through coaching and have this commitment to feeling and sensing what it is like to have true body freedom, where you feel energized, where you feel like you're of ideal size, and what it actually takes to get there. So without further ado, I am excited to introduce you. We just kind of dive right in as we always do. So you'll hear right away. We'll just get started. And the only other thing I will say is that the recording sometimes feels a little jumbly. I don't know if there's a better word to say it, especially towards the beginning. It'll feel like maybe a word skipped or something like that. And I don't quite know why, but I think that you are just going to get so much out of this conversation that it'll be worth it. It'll sound a little like silence for one little part or a little wobbly. So just know that that is going to be a part of the experience. But what you're really going to feel, I think, is a lot of hope that, oh my gosh, this is exciting, that there is a whole other way that I can be in relationship with food and my body in a way that feels good, in a way that truly does exemplify what the name of my company is, which is Hello Body Freedom. So without further ado, please enjoy. If you have been thinking about coaching or what it really means to take a step into this direction of self-care, really getting this handled maybe for the first time in your life, then you are going to freaking love this. All right, I'll see you there.
Because I was out water skiing the other day.
Yeah.
So fun, beautiful at the end of the day. And I, have lost like 25 pounds. So
Yeah.
I like pop up out of the water, I popped up out of the water and I was like, shit, it's working, flying back and forth, big smile on the face and everything. And I was like, my heart was full of gratitude because I was like,
I just love your journey. Just love where you're at.
I love my
Beautiful.
journey. I love
Yeah,
my journey.
as you should.
You love my journey. My
Yes.
journey, and not you haven't asked me these questions, but some of my answers are involved in some of these things. But
Well, we'll dive in when you're ready.
okay, you tell me.
We could go all sorts of directions, but ultimately, you reached out to me for a reason, and that's like the first piece. Like there was something going on that wasn't quite right. And what I love about your journey in particular is that there's a very specific reason for saying yes. And then as we kept moving through the process, things just really started shifting in terms of focal point. And if we would have led with that, it would have never
Yeah.
worked. So I think it's important to start from the beginning, which is I feel like you joined my challenge that I did, like my 5-day challenge, and you
Yes.
ended up in my sphere for the first time in, I mean, what, not 20 years, like maybe 10 years or.
Well, I was in seminary in 2012.
Yeah.
2000, but I was training, before then. So it's a good 15 years.
I was already doing like eating psychology stuff back then, but I just wasn't as nearly skilled since you and I have been working together. Fast forward 15 years, we have
Yes.
completely lost touch, have not talked to you in forever. I'm not even sure how you ended up back in my sphere. We had been Facebook friends since forever. I don't know.
Yes.
And
Yes,
I'm
yes, and
running this
yes.
challenge. Yeah, okay. I'm running the challenge and you end up in my challenge. I wonder like what made you even interested in the stuff I was talking about? Like what was going on?
Well, Hello Body Freedom was first off the name of the company was like in my mind I'm like, oh my God, I would love to have freedom with my body. I do not have that, right
Yeah.
now. And I
Yeah.
would love to learn how to create that. So it caught my attention that
Mm,
way. And I'm 60. And so I've had a lifelong, ever since some of my earliest memories, I've had a lifelong struggle with my body. I was a bigger kid, being
mhm.
one of the bigger kids in my class, not necessarily huge or anything, but stronger, an athlete since I was a little kid, young, always played around sports teams and things like that. I did not have a relationship with myself. Felt like I was always kind of fighting with myself internally about not fitting in physically with my friends, in my clothes, through grammar school, in my uniforms, as well as playing on teams and things like that. So I always had a struggle in terms of that internal conversation with my body. And so the name of the company, Hello Body Freedom, was attractive to me. I would love to be able to create that for myself. And then it's Audra, who I've
You're
always,
like, oh my
always enjoyed.
gosh.
So I was like, and it was free. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
I would really like to be able to do that. I'd just gone through major upheaval in my life. I just moved from Northern California, where I lived for more than 30 years. I
Yeah.
just left a relationship of 10 years, and I was literally in a start over kind of period in time in my life, and I was like, oh my God. In some sense, it felt like another cycle, same
Yeah.
cycle.
Mhm.
Um, and I wanted to change the trajectory that I was on. And for me, it's like, oh God, I've got the same 25, 30 pounds back on again. I
Right.
do
When
not
you
feel
say
good.
cycle, yeah, when you
Yes.
say cycle, it's like I'm feeling this upheaval of my life and I'm feeling things not working. And here we go again with the
Here we go
behavior
again.
around food and the weight coming back on after working so hard to
Yeah.
get it off, which that's another piece
Yes.
that we can talk about as well.
So the cycle was the same cycle that I had been in for the majority of my life. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, God, if the promise is freedom from that, then I, I know I can get myself to this place, which is 30 pounds up, not training,
Right.
drinking, to take the edge off, or eating to take the edge off. That was really something that I needed to do, and I knew that I didn't know how to do that by myself because I kept
Right.
ending up in the same place, and I didn't
Right.
like it.
Yes. And then even before we met, whenever you were able to quote unquote get it handled, and I think this was a big piece that whenever we started working together was like you were like hardcore into precision nutrition, which precision nutrition is a very like science-based way of eating. But even before precision nutrition, whatever was before that, and then there was always a sense of, well, I know how to do this. It is to really control my food and
Yes,
then get my ass moving again. And I know that that was what I'm remembering is that it's kind of like, look, I'll do whatever, Audra. And also, this feels really wobbly because it's so ingrained in us to go, um, oh my gosh, if I just have the exact thing, then I'll feel comfortable that I'm in control.
well, I
This,
think what I was saying is that because in the past I've typically will get to a point where I will put myself into a program, and the program
yeah.
is precision nutrition, or something where there's intense measurement focused,
Hmm. Hmm.
scientifically based, all of those things. It was a
Hmm.
year-long program, intensity, you're measuring your food, you're measuring your activity output, intense training. I did really, really well in those programs because, you sign up, you do the things they tell you to do.
Yeah.
You do the things that they tell you to do, you follow that, it's intense, you know.
Yes.
Did it for a
Yes.
year, fantastic. And as the year ended, almost immediately, stuff starts coming back on.
Right. And that's where and I always talk about like toxic diet culture. But the truth is precision nutrition is science based. It's like very like let's learn how to do this. But at the end of the day, Like, we weren't born to have to measure everything that we
No.
came out of our mom. You didn't come with a measuring cup where she had to measure how much breast milk that you got. Like, it's just so not like a very natural way to be in relationship with food. And then whenever we're not sure what to do with food because our body's not where it wants to do, and then we learn measuring and being very specific and exact and following this exact protocol is the way. Um, it might be a way to like get yourself to a certain physique or level, but it doesn't really teach how do you just live your life and still be in a body that you love, right?
Well, and for me, what became apparent pretty quickly is that I'm just going back to like I'm using all of it,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
different point in times, and the thing that was happening along the way in every single program was life. My spouse at the time, it was going to a party, it was going on vacation, it was doing on all of these different things that it's like there was no way to navigate those things. What's so appealing about Hello Body Freedom, which is the program that I got involved with you in, is that I was like, I have never had that in my life. I go to the extreme, in terms of inserting myself into a program, but freedom never was part of the picture. Freedom
Okay.
from nothing, because you're not being freed from anything. You're being, really closely tied to somebody else's program, but it was not my own, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So those are just different reasons as to why freedom to me. Um, I'm like, wow, I've never had that, never done
yeah.
that, never had that.
Powerful, powerful.
Yeah,
So we start working together and we're coaching and you are taking it all in and we're starting with some super basic stuff like wait till you're hungry, stop it enough. And
basic to you, not basic to me. Go ahead.
exactly, exactly. You're like, wait,
Yeah,
what? As we're trying to navigate all this. And so we're navigating learning how to feel what you're feeling. So how do
yeah,
we navigate emotions? Right. And you coined significant emotional experiences, which I now use in all of my coaching. I use those exact words and phrases. And I tell people to get a calendar out and write down significant emotional experiences as a way to help people understand the tie-ins between there's something going on inward
yeah,
at an inner level that includes overeating or overdrinking that has nothing to do with physical hunger, right?
yes,
So you're making all those connections. It's a little wobbly or a lot wobbly. And then I remember you're like, you know what? I'm going to a food delivery service. That way I know exactly the right amount that I'm eating. I know
yeah,
exactly, right? Do you
yeah,
remember that?
yeah,
And
yeah. I think it
how
was
like,
Factor. It was
yeah,
Factor.
yes. And so, and remember how like what it did for you, like in terms of, I feel okay. I feel more in control.
I
Okay.
feel in control.
Now I
If
know
I
I'm not
do this thing,
overeating, right?
if I do this thing, it's all taken care of. I don't have to think about anything else. Oh
Yes.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And, anybody that comes into coaching knows that this is never about making behaviors that you choose or don't choose to do right or wrong. It is about having a conversation and going deeper. And I wonder what that's about,
Yeah.
right? And you didn't do factor for too long.
I
Um,
don't even think I went that, you know. It was pretty funny because once you and I had the conversation about, it was just another way of me doing this thing that I'd always done,
yes.
in the past. I was like, oh God. And it was kind of like a slap in the face of like, oh, this is what I do. So it was just another, I keep talking about this, it's another circle, me doing the same thing in a different way.
Mhm. Yeah,
And I wouldn't have been able to see that by myself.
right.
It was directly related to having a conversation with you when you're like, hey, what are you doing? And I so very
Yeah.
illuminating. And that's
So
what
that
I
was,
love also about this, because it's
yeah,
so illuminating.
yeah. Just one like, oh, this, oh my gosh. And we just go
Yeah.
deeper and deeper for sure. Yeah. So that was also towards the beginning. So I'm
Yes.
wondering if you can remember maybe towards the beginning or maybe middle, I'm not sure where it felt like uncomfortable, or maybe this isn't really working, or I keep getting stuck somewhere. I don't know, like, is there anything that comes up for
So
you?
the wonderful thing about Hello Body Freedom is that you have such a vast body of information, libraries and weeks of things to try on and different roads to travel down.
Yeah.
Is that for myself, as well as audio sessions that you can listen to. I was doing all of those things, but I was also going, because there's still that part of my personality that's like, I would like to create more of a, I'm going to use the word container. I'd like to create more intimacy for myself in
Yeah.
terms of navigating path forward,
Yeah.
navigating a path for myself. And that's how it came up for me, is that I wanted to know that I had my back. I didn't want to give that power to anybody else. I didn't
Yeah.
want to give it to a program. I didn't
Right.
want to sign up for yet another thing. I really wanted to go, I want to hear my own voice. I want to know what's happening with me. And I want to be able to learn,
Yeah.
more about that.
Yeah.
What happened?
And I think that you are right, because there's not like one exact straight and narrow road for every single person, right? Everybody's in a different place dealing with different things. And when I say dealing with different things, I'm talking about nervous system dysregulation, why it's there, where it came from, why does it keep showing up, right? It's going to be a little different. And what you're saying is like, oh my gosh, I'm consuming and consuming all this information. I'm going down different roads Audra's showing
Yes.
me. And that can also be a trap, is what you're saying, where it's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, wait a second. I want to really hone in and go, what are the things that I need specifically? What is my path? How do I get to that space, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
to your point, it's like, I didn't even know what nervous system dysregulation was.
Yeah.
I just knew that I'm like, oh, I felt this way before.
Mm,
That's what I knew. I'm like, oh, I felt this way before. I don't like feeling this way.
yeah.
I don't know what to do about it.
I love that, because when people come into Hello Body Freedom, like, you're not sitting here talking to me going, Audra, please make this nervous system dysregulation go away. That's not what people are saying, right? What people are going is like, here I am in the same cycle. I've done a year of precision nutrition, then life just happened, and now I'm back to where I started. I am so sick of this cycle. Freedom is exactly what I want. How the hell do I get to the other side? And
Wait.
there's a component that has to do with relationship with food. I know there's a component that has to do with food, has to do with inner attunement and connection more to your body. Like, to your point, I got me,
Yep.
right? That sense of like, how do I have my back instead of sabotage myself all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it, but it's not like the answers to that have to do with better inner connection, communication, what it means to work at a nervous system level and at an emotional level. But that's not what you come for.
No
And I think
idea
that's,
that that's what I
yeah,
was coming
yeah,
for. No idea that I
right,
was coming for. Didn't have a vocabulary for it. Didn't have a train of thought for it. Didn't have an
right,
awareness of it.
right.
And I think in your coaching calls, because there's some of them where you can listen to other people talk about what their week was like or what they're working on and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And typically you hear somebody say, oh, I went to brunch with my mom and my sister-in-law and I ended up eating the entire buffet or something,
Totally. 100%.
something like
Yeah.
that. And so you hear something like that and I'm like, oh God, I've done that before. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Or it's like you go, but the other part of that nobody talks about it is you go, oh, is your sister-in-law a bitch or is your mom something?
Yeah.
There's this natural curiosity that nobody talks about. It's like, what happened at brunch?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
And
happened
what was
coming
going
up
on
to
in you?
brunch? Yeah,
Like what
what
happens
happened?
when you go to a place that's like all you can eat? Like, maybe it
Yeah,
has nothing to do with the mom and the sister, but it has to do with like, what the heck is going on inside of my own body
yeah,
that there's not even a connection to, right?
nothing. And then it's like, and as you sit there and you listen to people, you identify with them because you're like, I've had that feeling before.
Mhm.
I've had that excitement before. I've had that, like, I'm going to an all you can eat brunch and bucket list mimosas, whatever. And you get this excitement about it. You get
Mhm.
excitement in your body because
Mhm.
it's all the things that it is. Or God, the last time I went to brunch, I ate so much I got sick after, or something. There's just something, that everybody, as you're listening to a phone call with a group of people, you have a bunch of feelings that come up that have been a part of your own experience or have been a part of my own experience in the past. And you go, oh, I can totally identify with that. I can completely identify with that. And it's not so much about what I've learned is not so much about that other person is being able to identify those feelings that come up for me and, identifying with that situation that somebody else went through, that I go, oh, I know how that feels.
Yeah.
I know how that feels. I know how exciting that gets. I know how nervous I got.
Right.
And you can feel it in your body. And so that was kind of the beginning of like, oh, I know what that feels like. I can identify with that other person. And then it really turned more into, oh, I need to learn more about this for me.
Yeah.
It really turns into a much more intimate conversation in terms of, I think what we're starting to talk about is that I started to recognize it's like, oh, there's a lot of situations that happen that I have some sort of a response or reaction to. And for me, that meant that I turned into overeating or overdrinking or whatever that creates this whole cycle, of events that ended up with me just not, I felt out of control. I was like watching myself going, why do you do this? Why am I doing this? Why?
And that's what people like to say, that everybody likes to have, they have the question why, and then we like cognitively want to understand the answer. And so we can talk all day about why and understand the answer and where that comes from. But at the end of the day, all that matters is in that moment, right? Having the skill set to be able to have self-awareness, to understand what's going on in the body at an intensity level, and then having the skill sets to be able to pull it apart to decrease the intensity, or to have the intensity high and still not use the food or the booze, right? It's both of the choices, which obviously when the intensity is
the answer. I wanted to feel the answer because
yeah.
I could feel many, many times I could identify a feeling, because I'm like, oh, I feel off. I feel weird. I feel oppressed or whatever. I feel numb. And I'm like, it was always like, why? And so it created the pause between I'm feeling this intensity. There's a pause that I needed to develop that skill set around, so that in those moments I could choose to do something different if I wanted. And that's where freedom comes in for me.
Yeah.
For me.
Totally. That you have the choice, that you actually don't have to eat the food if you don't want to. You don't have to have the drink if you don't want to, or that you are hyper aware of, you know what, I'm actually going to have this drink, or I am going to eat this thing, right? And have skill sets around how to work that, which is so different than the sense of, oh my God, here I am at brunch again, and I just overdid it again, right?
I just blew it. I just blew it. I did the whole week. I just, did this, I did that, whatever. And then the whole mental beatdown. You do it to yourself. I have done it to myself my entire life. So yeah.
Well, I want to change it over because I'm also, as we're moving along in our time together, you ended up getting into a relationship.
I did.
And and you are still beautiful, but like it was very exciting. And I remember what it did for you was create a remembrance of incredible negative body image. So all of a sudden, like the insecurity of, oh my gosh, she's smaller than me, or that like all of these things that I think that I can relate to, that all women can relate, just this intent, which is not body freedom by any means.
No.
Right. So it's not just about the food, and it's not just about learning how to feel what we're feeling. All of a sudden, we're going through this whole phase of how do I work with this intensity that comes up when, and I remember you were like, I would catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I would see myself next to my partner, and all of a sudden it was like, boom, trigger happens. You remember that whole piece? Yeah.
Huge. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'd not be in the relationship that I'm in today had we not been working together on all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You really, I mean, we don't talk so much about that particular phase because like you moved through that one um really powerfully. You really committed to the exercises that I asked you to do. I'm like, okay, remember when you're on a date with her, this is what you're going to do. If you happen to get triggered or something happened, here's the conversation that you're going to have. Here's the experience, right? It's all this stuff that you did on the inside that she didn't even know, right?
No,
What you were doing at this
no,
point because it was
no
so new
idea.
in the relationship. You're not
Yeah.
having those conversations with her yet. And then, but that you were so committed to really getting to the other side of that. And I want to be really clear. That doesn't mean that it's like, oh, I have like all the body confidence all the time. I think that that's not,
No. If
it's not,
anything, it's no,
yeah.
no.
But it's that you were so willing to do the work to get to a place of being able to recognize again that inner experience. And then instead of like like your main goal at the very beginning of this was I got me. I want to know that no matter what, I got me.
Yeah.
So in this particular scenario of body image and body confidence, like to not have you is to beat yourself up, shame yourself, right? All of these things. You like with this commitment of nope, I got me. I'm gonna respect. I'm gonna work on regulating the nervous system back down. I can
Yeah.
get to a place of honor, respect, all the things, and you kind of knock that out of the park pretty quick.
Well, it's very easy for me to be compassionate with other people, right?
Yeah,
And to
totally.
be understanding and compassionate with other people in terms of the experience that they're having. So outward, like sisters, friends,
Hmm.
partners who are business partners, whoever, very
Hmm.
easy for me to be compassionate with them. And what I found is, oh my God, I have no compassion for myself,
Yeah.
which to me, when that was astonishing. And I had finished a long-term relationship of 10 years with someone that was emotionally not very kind and not very nice. And I kept asking, like, why is this happening like this? Why am I being spoken to like this? Why am I being shamed? Why am I being, this feels terrible. And it was somebody else doing that for me. But I realized I had no compassion for myself, in
Yeah.
that. And so the conversation internally that I was like, oh my God, what just happened feels really bad. And so in working with you and early on in the process, I was committed to going, okay, I want to build that muscle of having that inner conversation with myself, that inner
Mhm.
dialogue with myself that I'm so willing to have with other people.
Yeah.
And so I started very early with, for example, in this relationship with someone who I love and adore, is that
Mm.
um, is that she's beautiful, she's very attractive, she's very fit, she's all of these, very successful, she's very kind, she's very thoughtful. And you have the traditional, what's this person doing with me, right?
Right. That insecurity, that part that's lacking the confidence.
Not realizing that I had any of those same qualities,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
there was nothing happening. And so in my work with you, you were able to help me to put those building blocks in place where I realized I can do those things with myself.
Yeah. And you already are those things with yourself. It's just a matter of finding those places and not letting the other parts like pop in and which are just wounded parts. They're wounded parts that need some love, need attention. Right.
Yeah, but if you have no relationship with them and no
Yes.
vocabulary for
Yes.
it, then how are you
Then
going
you
to
don't
relate to it?
you're
You
not
can't.
going to heal, you're not going to relate, you're not going to change, you're not going to shift.
No, I'm going to go
Um,
for the 20 baskets of tortilla chips and
to make yourself
margaritas.
feel better, right? Because that's
Yes,
what you've learned, right? That you've just
yes,
learned that that's the thing that's worked in the past. And so
yes.
you were so committed to, I have to learn a different way. And part of that was that inner conversation that we worked on, like, and that we continue to work on. It's just so powerful. And I'm just curious, like, if you just want to share, like, what is your inner dialogue in terms of being kind to yourself? Like, if you can compare it, like, where it is now, kindness, softness, to just that old
So,
way of being.
so, so I think the most important thing is that I almost have an immediate thermometer, for lack of better words. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling off. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling the actual physical feelings of something feels off. I
Yes.
stop and I pay attention to that now.
Yeah.
So, and
Huge.
I really spent some time thinking about it and really sinking into what is that feeling? Where does it reside? I don't know how many times in conversation with you where I have said, "Oh, I have felt this way before. I
Yeah.
I have felt this feeling before, and it's similar to earlier in my life, or it's similar to another relationship, it's similar to another business situation. I have felt this feeling before." So the old adage that, we take whoever we are with us wherever we go,
Yes.
100% true, on that. And so for me, it was like, oh, my body has had this response when I have been in this situation with a previous business partner or with somebody else that I was dating, or, and so that to me was like going, oh, this is me. This is 100% me. And so being able to stop, take some moments, use some of the things that I've learned with you, like the resetting your nervous system quickly in a period of high
Intensity, like when it's just super
intensity
intense.
to
Yeah.
just kind of bring it down.
Mhm.
That works in the moment,
In the
and
moment.
absolutely need to do that, because in the
Mhm.
past I would have driven my car out in front of 7-Eleven and pulled up and got some ice cream or some red vines,
Mhm. Mhm.
and chowed my way through those,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
that's not a
that's
bad thing to do either, because it provided comfort,
I,
provided
yes, you did
comfort.
that. And the fact that you can even say that, because what we normally do is, oh, I hate that part of me. I hate that part of me, right? But you have a totally different way of communicating and understanding all these parts. Okay, so I've done that in the past, absolutely. But like for people to see that this connection, like, I mean, we haven't talked 1 ounce about eating protein or a
No.
balanced plate, right? Like we're not having that conversation because it's not that that conversation isn't important, but it's not the root and the foundation that needs the healing. That there is something deeper than the amount of protein that you're eating that really does need to be addressed in a meaningful way, and that has to do, like, we're sitting here talking about relationship, we're sitting here talking about jobs, we're here sitting here
Oh my
talking
gosh.
about like experiences, right? And then and we're sitting here talking about, oh my God, this is so familiar. I'm familiar with this feeling now because I'm
Yeah.
so paying attention to it, that this didn't just happen today. This has been happened since I was 4 or since I
Yeah.
was 24, right?
Yeah.
And then to make those connections to, oh, well, of
Yeah.
course, like, and then the connection to the overeating of food,
Yes.
like you could do precision nutrition for the rest of your life and this will never be solved. And you will wonder why you keep staying stuck in your body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%. That's why it's so profound, really, because and now it's like you become an observer and a participant in your own life, in your own experience. And so the intensity blossoms, which is really cool,
Yeah.
and I think it's really cool,
Yeah.
especially on the good things, you know. And I'm actually learning to how to even like expand how things feel really good, you know,
Yeah. Which is
to be
also a
super
part of it.
happy and to be super joyful, and it's like,
Yes.
because I in my work with you, it's like, oh, my nervous system isn't used to this much
Good. That much
happiness.
good.
That
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
so for me, it's like it's the most wonderful thing about life, really, and being
Mm.
alive, because it's
Mm.
like being alive,
Hmm.
and I get to share it with other people that I care about. So there's more of me showing up, and
Yeah.
I have access to more of myself, and that means I have more access to other people and have more energy for other people, which is
Yeah.
really, really lovely.
I also love that you did all this work at 60. I really,
Yes. So, which is, I was laughing about that this morning, because we were talking about, when we were 20, even 30, and it's like, oh my God, we thought 60 was so old, right?
totally. Yeah.
And I'm going to turn 61 in about a week and a half here. And, and I was playing pickleball the other morning with a kid little kid. He's maybe late 20s.
Yeah.
And he's like, I said, and kicked his butt, but he said, he goes, I go, yeah, not bad for a 60-year-old. And he looked at me and he's like, what? And I go, not bad for a 60-year-old. And he goes, you are not. And I go, oh yeah, I am. And I just kicked your butt, kind of thing. So, I feel more alive at this age. I feel like my life has taken on multi colors. It's not monochrome,
Right. Right.
anymore. And so that's what's been amazing about this whole journey with you. And I would not have happened had I just stayed in the general population in terms of your programs. I think I would have still had success.
Yeah, but one-on-one coaching really is like I think that because you are right, because I have like my VIP coaching where it's me and also my other coaches. But you're like, no, we're just gonna work together, you and me, Audra. Let's just knock this out. And there's some and with one-on-one coaching with me, it's 6-month increments, but I
Yes.
always recommend a year because a year everything happens, like everything, every
Yes.
birthday, every holiday, ups and downs and everything, right? We can
Yes,
really
you cover
get
everything.
and remember right when we got to the 6-month part where there was still like, because we take it every 6 months, you can say, you know what, I'm out. And but there was a moment where we had a few weeks where we didn't connect.
Yes.
But there was, when we finally connected, there was inside of you, there was like, no, 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 this is work. I feel like we've maybe just scratched the surface. I'm in this for the
And
year.
we had
And we
scratched the
had
surface.
you're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what we did in the last half was
Yeah.
just mind blowing. It
Yes.
just kept going deeper and deeper. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so the consistency of, the simple question of how's your week? What's going on? What's coming up?
Yeah.
And it's really kind of profound to go over some of the situations, because that's when I discovered some of the instances where, I would in the past go down a rabbit trail, and go unconscious, for a little bit, because I was seeking comfort in the things that I had so little tools on what that meant, for me. And in the past, it had been food, it had been alcohol, but it's almost like things that make time stand still.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to say, but it's like they keep things the same rather than kept things the same in my life, which for me, outwardly, that meant weight gain.
Right. Right. That's the thing. It's like whatever I hate to say drug of choice, but like drug of choice, right? Like if it's calorically dense, like alcohol and food, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing that we're using to handle emotions or handle nervous system regulation, because that's what we learned and we don't do the work to untangle that.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't matter how healthy that you're eating, right?
Yeah. I would also
Eventually
say
it'll just
that
get you.
one of the basic things that your program starts out with, and this is just for everybody, very easy and very incredible lesson to learn, is to just starting with, are you hungry?
You know, it's so simple, right?
So simple, but it's like,
Yeah.
am I hungry? And I ask myself, it's such an easy question to ask. It's like, because it's like my body is not physically hungry. So why am I eating?
Right.
And if I'm eating, why?
Yeah. Like, let's pull it apart in a
Yeah.
gentle, sweet, loving way that's non-judgmental, non-shaming. So sometimes we have to work on that, get rid of the judge,
Yeah.
get rid of the shame, things like that.
Yeah.
And you are right. It is where everybody starts. It's usually when I run a challenge, it's always what I teach on day one. And I can't believe how many people are like, that just blew my mind. Like such a very simple first thing. Let's get
because
into that.
and then the other things happen, after that, but it's like, am I hungry? No, I'm not. Well, then what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. And so here we are. We spent this epic, epic year together, going deep, going deep, going deep. And I think that it's also, I want to like just honor the commitment that, because you were like, I am doing this all the way through for a year. And there were
Yeah.
moments where we both kind of like, not for very long, but where like we missed a few times or sessions, but then we always got back in like, nope, we're doing this. We're doing this. And like you said, every week, there were weeks, I remember you saying like, like, I don't even know what the hell we're going to talk about. And then sometimes like the most profound shit would come up. And I
So
was
crazy, because and the
totally,
thing is that it's a journal, it's a
yeah,
consistent journal entry
yeah,
of my life that I think my all my brothers and sisters' names at this point, my
I did.
dogs, I like cycling,
Yes,
that had my friends in town for a winemaker's dinner
yes.
and which was funny because that's also a part of the program is that you share life with somebody in a very intimate way, in which just taking the example of having my friends into town, I
Yeah.
wanted to spend some more time with my friends. I missed them. So I invited them all into town, and it was actually around a food and wine event, you know?
I was gonna say, like, you are living your life with friends, with family, with loved ones, with
Yeah,
holidays, with everything, and you are having food and wine events. You are having epic like Palm Springs famous actor
parties,
event,
film
like parties.
festivals,
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
you are. I mean, you are flying to Europe for, wasn't it for a wedding?
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
yeah,
And,
last
remember,
September.
there's a whole conversation around food around that. There's a like it is it's not like you're sitting here giving up your life trying to like be perfect with your food. You are
No,
literally having all of this inner healing. So all of these other pieces. Go ahead with the winemakers thing. Like how was that? How was the body? How was the behavior around food? Like
it was a beautiful evening, and I was so happy because I wanted time with my friends. And
yeah,
so it wasn't about the food that evening and it wasn't about the wine at
and there it
all.
is. There it is.
It was
But
about spending time with them and talking.
if food and alcohol is the thing that you use to make yourself feel better, if your intensity is too high, then you can't help but it be around that, right? Until
Yes,
we untangle that, right? So your complete shift of course there was food there. Did you enjoy the food? Was it
it was
delicious?
good, but it wasn't
Yeah.
like it was funny because one of the meals, it's like I literally sitting there going, I don't really like this, having a taste, and I'm like, don't really like this. And that was good. I tasted it and it sat there. I'm the last person to finish my meal these days, and I
Yeah.
don't eat the whole plate.
Yeah.
I'm literally like, okay, I'm good. And it's the level of the internal conversation of I'm good. I'm not
Mm,
hungry. I'm not full. I'm not anything. I'm good. And that to me is amazing.
yeah. Yeah. And
Amazing.
so we hardly talked about weight very often. We would go into it at different points. And
Yeah.
but towards the end, it would be like, oh yeah, do you have any information? Because I would forget to ask about it at this phase. And
Yeah.
it's a little different with different clients depending on, what we have levels of where we need to get to. But by the time we moved through this year, you're like, you would always start like, maybe every other session. Yeah, the weight just keeps ticking down. I'm just noticing it. It was less of a intense focus and more of I am living my life the way I want to live my life in connection to how I am feeling in my body, in
Yeah.
connection to hunger and enough, right? And from a standpoint of even moving your body. So we talked about like taking Coop out for walks, going beach, like it, I don't know. It was just it was as if you were building this new life in a way that felt good for you, that includes connection to food as it should, that
Yeah.
included uh, moving your body in a way that was not a pushing yourself to force it, but in a way that felt really pulling. And we talked about that. And that has just kind of organically transpired, which I'll say doesn't happen for everybody because you have such a background in moving your body. Like, do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even though you and I both know what it's like to go through cycles where you just don't do it and then you get back into it,
Yeah.
but we were very intentional of like, no, this will happen organically. We're not going to force ourselves. We'll be curious about it, which is different than judging ourselves for not doing it, right?
Yes.
And that's exactly what magically happened.
Right. And so now after the year, because I think I'm down like 30 pounds, between 25 and 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And it didn't really start happening until the end of the year or
Yeah.
the last 6 months,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that I started going, I want to feel better. All of this is connected to how do I feel?
Yes.
And I want to feel better. And I'd gone through periods of feeling better in the past, but they were also so connected to intensity. It's like, I got to go to the gym 4 days, got to be lifting weights, got to be doing aerobics, I've got an epic
Yep.
ride coming up or something like that.
Yeah.
And the intensity, involved in it. But this is a much more gentle curiosity. I was like, I want to feel better.
Mm.
I want to feel better. And so, and I do feel, and I'm like, okay, and how do you feel better? I feel better when I do these things. And at this point in my life, it's like, I feel better. I want to do something that's not as intense, but something that I enjoy, that brings
Yeah.
me joy, that helps me continue to move, and I've decided what those things are.
Yep.
I'm not going to the internet for the internet to tell me what they are, and I'm
So
not reading it
huge.
in a magazine to tell me
Yeah.
what they are. It's like I've decided what they are, and it's something that I'm like, I enjoy doing this. If
Yeah.
it's walking on the beach at sunset with my dog, and oh, by the way, that means that I get an extra, 6,000, 7,000 steps in. The mechanics are the back part of it. And I'm not like, oh my God, I got to get 6,000, 7,000 steps in. I was like going, I'm going to take my dog to the beach. We're going to go for a walk at sunset. I like that to signify the end of my day. It's different than having a cocktail, and then out of curiosity, I'm like, oh, I wonder how many steps that was. I'm like, oh, look at that.
Yeah. Interesting. Look at me go. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
like, what do I enjoy? What I want to go out and spend more time with my friends. They enjoy playing pickleball. I'm going to make time to play pickleball with them on Friday morning for 2 hours
yeah.
or an hour and a half. And oh, by the way, when I look at my Apple Watch, I close my rings for the day.
Yeah.
And it was
Okay.
fun. I got to spend time with my friends. I got to laugh with them. I got to tease them, and I was moving, right?
Yeah. Love it.
When I go out
Love it.
to dinner, it's like, do I have a glass of wine or a cocktail? Yeah, but I don't have two, three, four,
Well,
you know?
but you're learning, how do I live a life that I want to live? I'm going to go out with my friends. I want to have a cocktail. How do I do that and still lose 25 to 30 pounds? How do we, right?
Yes.
And there is negotiation around, right?
Yeah.
So if the answer for you is, well, I have to have a bowl of ice cream every night and 3 cocktails, well, gosh darn it, my weight's not changing. Well, then there needs to be, okay, well, where are the shifts that we're willing to play with here? What makes the most sense, right? And you were able to go, okay, I can figure this part out because this isn't going to go away, but how do I work it in a way that really works for me? And
Right.
you did. I didn't
Yeah.
come up with it. You came up with it because it's your
Well,
life. It's you.
well, I couldn't have come up with it on my own because it was a result of having a conversation with you saying, okay, let's experiment with this. What do you think might be a way in which we could do that? So it was a conversation
Right.
about what I had identified as something that might be an area that I wanted to change. And then we just talked about how easy was that to do and how did it feel?
Yeah. So epic year. I'm sad that our year is up. I want to keep coaching you for the rest of my life. It's so much fun. Um, let's say somebody's listening to this and they're like on the fence and they're like, oh my God, I've never heard of anything like what would you say to them in terms of helping
I
them get
would
off the
say that
fence?
that you're even at a decision point, when you're looking at doing something, is it inside you know that you want something to change, and inside you know that you've also done things past. You've done a bunch of different things, and inside I knew that it wasn't enough. And for me now, having gone through this for a year, we're hearing big terms like learning how to learning how to identify your nervous system, number one, learning how to identify when you're triggered, two, and then learning how to dysregulate them. Three are skills that you can't understand on the internet.
Mhm.
And nobody's out there that can teach you all of those things. And they are life changing skills
Yeah.
to
And you
learn.
have to feel it. You have to embody it. That's what you were
have to
saying. Like, you
feel it.
can't learn it on the internet.
And so sometimes when you have those, when you listen to people talk, it's like, what would you say? What would you say to somebody? Is that
Yeah.
you things show up on your feed, and you have a discomfort in your life. You have some sort of discomfort going on, and I don't know what it is. I certainly had enough of my own, and I had the perfect storm of shit that had happened, with me. And I was like turning 60, turning 61. And realistically, I'm looking down the next 20, 25 years of my life, and I want them to be the best years that I have and create and put together for myself. And I had some major discomfort and some pain that I wanted to take care of in a better way than I have in the past, in the past 60 years. I just want the best, the next couple of 20, 25 to be the best I can make it. And I know that after spending that year with you, I will have that.
You already do. Like, it's like blossoming in such a beautiful way.
Yeah. You're getting emotional.
Always a little bit.
No, and I want to go back though to some other things, is because when I have in VIP coaching, when I have had moments of intensity, I've been able to pick up the phone and call you, and you have called me back, and you have talked me through when I'm in those moments of intensity. And you've given me some tools, like I was up in Palo Alto and I was up there to spend some time with some other people. And because I was able to call you in the middle of that, feel all of that, you gave me some tools that I now use myself. At the breathing, working with the pillow, all of those things, that I was able to at least get myself from a level 10 down to a level, 6, 5, 6, which enabled me to enjoy the moment that I was in and the people that I was with, rather than the situation that I found myself in. And so being able to unlock those things and work with them and put them in their proper place so that I could be present in my life.
And to be able to do it in the moment, because that's like when you're going to get the most powerful transformation, when you literally are in it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have called you outside of the ice cream shop.
Yes.
And the frozen yogurt shop,
Yes.
And the thing is,
and is there anything wrong with ice cream? No. Is there anything wrong with frozen yogurt? That's not the problem.
No,
it's what is going on with me that I have this intense desire, urge, desperation to put that in my mouth right now. That's the inner work. That's the piece, right?
Yes. And to be able to talk to somebody in that moment while that's going on, or soon after that's happening, and deconstruct that, is incredibly healing, incredibly powerful, incredibly loving and life-changing, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love you, Tina Berg.
I love you too, Audrey Baker.
I love all my clients. I have so just loved this year spending with you.
Well, I try not to get too heady, The thing is that I've been fascinated with personal psychology, personal growth, all of those things my entire life, ever since I was a little girl. But I was always on the outside looking in, even though I was participating. And this is the first time when I'm on the inside, 100% on the inside with myself, looking at the world and interacting with the world myself.
I mean, this is why people go to therapy. It's like to have that level of, I got me, to have that level of, I'm so grounded, connected, inner attuned is the right
That's
word.
right. That's
For all those therapists out there. And there's a reason why we don't have that connection. This is from wounds from the past, or, trauma and things like that. But to be able to build that it is the foundation that, like, yes, you've lost weight. Yes, you have this epic relationship with food that was totally different than measuring everything, that includes, dinners out and parties and all the things, living your life. And that is so possible because of this inner attunement and this foundational work that you have just said 100% yes to.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun.
I want to send all of my closest friends to you. all
I
my
want you to
besties.
send them all my way.
I know, I know. I mean, to me, it's like being able to have access to somebody like yourself that has just so many things that you can draw on that are
Mhm.
so helpful. So many things that are helpful, no matter what's happening. I mean, we've talked nutrition, we've talked HRT, we've talked interfamily systems, we've talked what is the rapid eye movement, everything. But the
EMDR,
thing
we've
is
talked
that, yeah,
tantra, we've talked
everything,
sexuality, we've right, we like
it's
the whole
all. But the
gamut.
thing
Yeah.
is that all of those things and your the depth of your knowledge and the breadth of your knowledge in terms of being able to help, you can meet somebody wherever they're at. I know that you can meet somebody wherever they're at and help them profoundly.
Thank you. That
And I
was,
hope you do. I hope you continue to.
yeah. And I
It's
will.
my sincere hope.
It is my sincere desire as well. So I'm really excited to keep moving forward and doing more
Yeah.
good stuff like what you and I've done together.
How fun was that? If your mind was blown and you want to experience the same thing, then I want you to just drop me a DM in Instagram. Head over to Instagram, find me. I think I'm Audrey Jean Baker. And just drop me a DM and say, I am interested or I am ready. And we'll just start a conversation. We'll start an easy conversation and we'll find out if coaching is right for you, because it's not right for everybody in every moment of the time. But when you really are ready, when you are like, this is it, I'm so ready to be on the other side of this in the most meaningful way, then I think that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So head on over to Instagram, drop me a DM. I am ready. And let's start a little conversation and we will move forward from there. I hope you guys have an epic rest of your day, week, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.